You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
We can deport violent, illegal criminals. That makes a lot of sense.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Obama was not the president for this system.
Do you think that House Democrats and Senate Democrats should try to cooperate with Donald Trump
if he tries to kick people off their health insurance? We're going to have a Youngstown street fight.
The American people, they voted against Hillary. They voted against this administration.
We pledge allegiance to one flag, and that flag is the American flag.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to the 2017 Red, White, and Blue Conservative Revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now, here are your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
All right, greetings. Welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable, a talk show like no other on radio. We're going to get into, we got so much that we want to get into. Of course, we know that it was so much that happened this week. And so, again, greetings. Thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable here on WAAM TALK1600, the conservative powerhouse. We're glad and happy to be a part of the family. Been a part of the family for over 7 years now. So we're celebrating our 7th year here on radios and celebrating 7 years right here where we started at, right here on WAAM TALK1600 with you, our listeners, and our supporters. Here, I want to just say again that that if you like to, show your support for the Abolitionist Roundtable, I know we give this every week, but we want to make sure you know our website. Go to our website at artofmichigan.com, all one word, artofmichigan.com. Again, artofmichigan.com. We could use your support in any way that you can. In addition, if you'd like to send us some mail, any kind of correspondence instead of writing out Abolitionist Roundtable Michigan, I've seen some people penmanship try to spell out abolitionist, and boy, that is a mouthful, and it is a lot to write. And matter of fact, when I first started writing out abolitionist, I had to make sure that I got the correct spelling of it too. So instead, just write Art of Michigan, ART of Michigan, P.O. Box 135, Garden City, Michigan, 48135. So we look forward to see any correspondence you'd like to send us, any mail, any articles. If you'd like to write a check for $1 million, million is spelled M-I-L-L-I-O-N. Write that check, absolutely. It'll help us here, and also it'll help us do some other things because, folks, we living in a very dangerous time right now, very dangerous time, and liberalism has lost their cotton-picking mind, and so they got something out there called the resistance, which the resistance should have been resisting the last administration. But they resisted the President Trump. Matter of fact, I'm glad that President Trump is not even involved in state and local government, period, at all, when we see all the number of things that's going on. And so this resistance that's going on right now in some of these cities across America, he don't have anything to do with. The resistance is their own local government that they're fighting against. Their local government is the ones that created the laws that they're hostile to today. Their local government is the ones that created that pathway to jail and prison. Absolutely, they did. Their local government is the ones that created the marijuana laws. They need to. Matter of fact, here we can, on one hand, they want to, I understand they want to decriminalize some of the drug laws, but boy, I'm gonna tell you something. I've seen some people on marijuana and on alcohol. Man, you sure you want to decriminalize some of these some of these laws?
Especially with the synthetic that have entered into the market too. So when you decriminalize and legalize recreational use of drugs, who's to say what you might have or might get a hold of that could kill you? Because these synthetic marijuana drugs are absolutely unpredictable and very dangerous.
Very deadly.
And that's supposed to be the reason for decriminalizing and then legalizing marijuana, was because it's supposed to be, non-threatening to life and all of that, but this synthetic stuff is...
the synthetic and marijuana itself is a very deadly... You can see a number of people. I had somebody doing business with me, and man, just reaping the filth, reaping it. And
you mean the smell?
Oh man, it was. The guy was probably 60 years old. I couldn't. This mess.
I was in a bank,
when he walked away, man, I could still smell it under my nose. An hour later, really, seriously. And that bothered me right there. And he jumped in his car and drove away. Now, and I'm thinking, man, oh man, we know that stuff like that impairs your driving. No different than text impairs and distract your driving, and alcohol pairs and distract your driving. That filth also does the same thing.
Yeah, I was in a bank line, standing in line. The guy came up behind me, man, and almost knocked me over.
Ooh.
And like you said, just standing there behind him behind me, when I got in my car, I couldn't shake the smell.
I'm telling you, it was still under my nose at least an hour later.
In my clothes.
And so again, he don't need to get involved. We don't need to get involved at all in this kind of stuff. But I'm gonna put that aside for a moment, because all these little dope heads that's out there, in this resistance, a bunch of dope heads. They are the ones that's out there smoking the weeds and drinking alcohol, getting themselves all riled up out there. And so when a police incident happened, first thing we need to do, that's something. Fake news don't want to tell you that these kids were on drugs and alcohol at the time. If you talk to a number of people that's in jail right now, and they'll tell you, when I committed this crime, when I committed this murder, I was all day, I was drinking, all day I was smoking, and I wasn't in my right mind, and they'll tell you that. And so, but anyway, I'm just going to sit that aside for a minute. I need to talk about something. A couple of weeks ago, Phil, I reported something about from the Huffington Post. The Huffington Post posted an article about white men. They need to take away his vote. White men shouldn't vote at all. Yep. And I found that to be the funniest story ever. Hypocritical of the left. Here they are. If somebody said that we should take away any other people's vote, they would be hysterical. But what happened is the editor of the Huffington, this is their South Africa branch of the Huffington Post, because it was a hoax. The person that had wrote the story. It was a white guy that wrote the story, hiding behind his who he was, that he was supposed to have been some black suppressed woman, and it was a white guy. This was some white liberal that made this up. Yeah. And so they got hoaxed, and so I just wanted to make sure
fake news.
Fake news. And so they got hoaxed by fake news. Yeah. And so now again, we didn't get hoaxed. All I did was report, just like what Drudge. The Drudge don't write stories; they just post them. They just post them on their and link them on their website. I wanted to make sure that people knew about this kind of stuff. This is what liberals, the mindset of liberalism. But anyway, if you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call, 734-822-1600. We're going to take a break for a few minutes. We're going to come back, and we're going to get into something. I think that the Republicans celebrated a little premature about this health care, and so we're going to get into that a little bit on the other side of the break. Matter of fact, before we go to a break, I want to ask you a question. I want to test your Civil War knowledge, and I want to. So the first question is, and then on the other side of the break, give us a call 734-822-1600. The primary economic income of the North. The primary economic income of the North. Was it tobacco? Was it industry? Was it cotton? Or was it coal? Okay, so you got one of those four to pick, one of those four to choose from. We'll see you on the other side of the break. All right, thank you, dear. We can go to a break.
This is the Abolitionists Roundtable on WAAM TALK1600. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, back to your hosts, Del and Phil.
All right, we're back. Thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. Again, I gave you one of our first Civil War question. If you'd like to join the conversation, don't be picking up your phones, looking that up. And so let's just all test our knowledge. Matter of fact, what I did is I took a whole test on it and myself to refresh myself on my history, on what I remember about it. Let me know that I need to go back. I need to go back and read a couple and refresh myself, because I should have got 100%, and I was a little light on that 100%. But anyway, so let's go back for a minute. Again, we were talking about the resistance. I was talking a little bit about the hoax, the fake news, which is so much out there. Matter of fact, did you see that President Trump wanted to run one of his 100-day wanted to run a 100-day commercial on some of the fake news stations? I mean, on some of the news stations, and they rejected him. They said, we don't want to run it, because again, at the end he showed some of you 4 liberals. He didn't say any names. And gave them credit for being a part of the fake news establishment. And so a lot of good stuff he's done. Now, again, do I want him? I want him to do one thing, if I could just say. I want him to kind of move back from some of the executive orders. I want him to move back. I want him to put that stuff on Congress. Put it their responsibility. Don't let them get away from their responsibility. I know they wanted to celebrate health care, that they passed this, but put that responsibility. Give Paul Ryan a list of things that you want to accomplish, and let them go to work. See, remember all those executive orders that he does. The next president just come in, and all they have to do is just reverse every executive order he did. They can just reverse it. But it's a little bit harder when you go through the process of voting on this. We need to have the people, the representatives, vote on it and then send it back to his desk. So we want to do it that process. So I want to just say this right here. So now this is from the Hill. With Chuck Todd. And this is just the headline. The GOP healthcare repeal celebration is a little premature. So I want to say I think that was a little premature, and so Phil had something to say about it, and we're gonna so we're gonna get into that a little bit.
Well, before it goes out of people's mind here this morning, what you said is exactly right. Put some of that pressure on the legislative branch. That is the reason why the courts decided that they should step in and begin to manipulate the thing, because
those were executive orders, and right away the court, they rejected them, and so they got it, and he got to put a whole, they got to be responsible. I mean, we shouldn't have these majorities and then they sitting around just worried of one or two things.
The thing about it is that the law that was cited on on the immigration thing, those laws were duly passed and signed by the president, and they are law. The court had no business stepping in there.
Absolutely, they not.
Because all he was doing is executing the power that was given to him by the legislative branch.
That's right.
20 years ago or whatever.
Right. Yeah, when it was, and again. See, some of the judges, how can they say that you know what he did was a little dangerous or premature or it was discriminatory? But it was. But see, these judges are not getting briefed on the information that the president has.
Exactly
so
right.
I think that was for them, the courts. They overstep their boundaries. Now, of course, now liberals, again, they don't care. You know, anything to resist, that's all they care about. And here, I want to read something because I had to. Here it's a survey that was done, and this survey was done. Where is it at? It was, and it says U.S. has more immigrants than any other country in the world. This study cites, and I thought about this right here, and I thought about this in the Book of Kings, 1 King 11:1, when Solomon. When God told Solomon to be careful with all these foreign women that he was involved in. Of course, we know Solomon was David's son, and Solomon asked, the Lord said, whatever you want, and he asked for something. He didn't ask for wealth. He didn't ask for a big car, big mansion, but he asked for wisdom. And so, and then he didn't use his wisdom, and it says that Solomon married many women from the Egyptian princes. Many came from nations that worship idols. The Moabites and Hittites and the Amorites. But then the Lord told him that you got to be careful with surrounding yourself with all these foreign women because they'll turn your heart to their God, And later on, we know that Solomon later built temples, didn't build a temple for the true and living God, the God of Israel, the God of the Christians, but he built temples for all his wives that he had. Of course, we know he had hundreds of wives, but so my point is that we have to be careful. We know Milt always saves from Joshua's Trail. One of the things he said is that it's not about it's about them killing God. Liberalism, liberals. It's about liberals killing God. Well, no. My theory is that from here, what God told Solomon. It's about them injecting other gods into your society. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing so many different things going on simultaneously at the same time that people now are rejecting the Christian God. People are running around. Matter of fact, this is fake news too. When a guy can holler out Allah Akbar and the news media will put it in English and say that he just said that God was great. That's not what he said.
You're exactly right.
He didn't say that. That's fake news. He said Allah is great. That's what he said.
And from what I can understand, what they're saying is Allah is greater.
Greater, and that's what it is. Yeah. He's great. That's true. Yeah. They're saying that Allah is greater. And so we have to be careful with this right here. Again, we interject in a lot of different, and that's what liberals want. They want to water down society. They want to water down Christianity so that so people can be acceptable to all these different lifestyles that are dangerous. And more dangerous than cigarette smoking.
Yes, and they will water down the law of the land, the Constitution.
Yes,
and that's what that's what the watering down of the Spirit of God.
Yes.
And getting that out of the public square in order to get to the concrete foundation that holds this country together, our Constitution, and weaken that, and then they can do just about what they want.
They can do just about anything.
Pretty close now.
And they are pretty close because they got all these kids out there drugged up.
Yep.
They got all these kids in bondage for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans.
Yeah.
They got kids out there. I'm talking about that. They've seen an increase in children that are now that want to go into this community organizing. This is what they want.
Yeah.
They choosing as careers: community organizing,
Yes.
burning down buildings. That's what the resistance is. They're burned down a building. They're shooting police officers. These are vermin. These are rats. Yeah, and so
Parasites.
these are parasites, Phil, and so we have to. And again, I'm happy that President Trump is not involved in some of this local stuff at all. They need to, and that's what we're going to talk about on the other side of the break, because we've seen the FBI did an investigation and found out that the police departments themselves are. I'm sorry, we're going to have to go to a break. On the other side, all our calls, just hold on for a minute. On the other side of the break, whatever your question was, whatever your comment was, we're going to get into it. If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call at 734-822-1600. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable, patriotic, red, white, and blue, conservative all-access radio, with your hosts, Del, Phil, and Janice. They're leading the charge and advancing the conservative revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored. Underground invasions against the United States. The word invade, according to the dictionary, means to enter for conquest or plunder. When invaders become active, their actions become an invasion. The United States has many decent, hard-working, God-fearing, legal Americans who are, because of political correct voodoo, living in an acute, sedated state of denial, unable to see, hear, believe, or accept that there is an invasion against the United States. But denial of truth does not negate truth. The United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and laws of jurisprudence are written in English. However, invading forces are hijacking the English language by creating alternative definitions and compound phrases as weapons of conquest. Words spoken or written are the dominant form of communication, and whoever controls the language will control the narratives regarding what can be said and what is right or wrong. To illustrate, the word gay originally means to be happy, but invading liberal wordsmiths redefined it to sanitize homosexual agendas, which allow them to format such misnomers as transgender. Both euphemisms, gay and transgender, are homosexual invasions upon heterosexual normalcy. Hate America, social engineers are invading schools with a virus called Common Core. Secular humanists are invading Christian morality protocols and values using the unconstitutional communist precept, separation of church and state. Judicial activist invaders like Judge Ginsburg infect the judicial system with opinions that elevate foreign laws above the United States Supreme Court. violent rioters are not peaceful protesters. They are invading insurrectionist anarchists who should be arrested. Diversity is a new age segregation weapon used by liberal invaders to conquer and plunder every viable institution in America. Abortions are an invasion upon life and humanity. Islam, a fascist ideology, is permitted to invade the United States as a religion of peace while advocating killing of Christians, Jews, and infidels, and calling the United States Big Satan. Communists, fascists, Nazis, socialists, and the Democrat Party are all aligned as one invasion force against the United States. And together they confirm the saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." When people reside or come to the United States and refuse to assimilate, disregard border sovereignty, insist upon their flag and language, they are not refugees or undocumented illegal immigrants. They are invaders. Cicero, a Roman philosopher and statesman, said, "A nation can survive its fools and ambitions, but it cannot survive traitors from within." If legal Americans are to survive the evil forces allied against the United States, we must have the courage to disseminate truth, recapture English language integrity, and heed the admonition of Cicero. Because it is the amalgamated traitors within who control the underground invasions against the United States. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think about it.
10%. All right. Thank you, Milt, for sending that down again. All right. So I'm going to go to our calls. Thank you again for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. And so, again, we had a question, and it looked like we have somebody on the line. And I'm gonna repeat the question again, and then I have another one we're gonna do in a few minutes. The primary economic income of the North. The North. This is a Civil War test, and it says, was it tobacco? Was it industry? Was it cotton, or was it coal? All right. So here. Let me first pull up my screen. And Phil, you cannot say anything either. All right, we want to say good morning to Gary from Hazel Park. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning. Firstly, you're right to be concerned about the executive orders and the next guy coming along and changing everything back.
Yes.
So what this guy has to do is what he said he was going to do, which is pretty much destroy the administrative state. To get rid of all major departments like energy and agriculture.
Yes.
And thirdly, or secondly, we need to break the union of the education department. We need to get rid of that so that we can take back the curriculum so we can then begin to educate the kids. The trivia question, I'm quite sure it's going to be industry because those other things were not applicable to the North.
That's right. That is absolutely correct. It was industry. Let's see here. I have something we got to, Gary, if you don't mind, I'm going to have Derek have you hold on. If you had something else you want to say, we're going to send you out one of the Abolitionist Roundtable. We have a Walk for Life T-shirt, and we're going to send you out one of our Walk for Life T-shirts for answering that question. And so I'm going to have Derek have you hold on for a minute, take down your address if you don't mind, and we'll send you out one of the Abolitionist Roundtable Walk for Life T-shirts.
I'll wear it with pride.
All right. Thank you very much. Would you like large or extra large?
Large will be fine.
Large will be fine. Okay. All right. So just hold on just a minute here. where Derek is on another call right now, so we're going to get that. But anyway, go back to what you were talking about, and again, we have to get Paul Ryan and the Republicans. We don't have these majorities for no reason at all. We have those majorities so that we can get them involved. They need to be working on this stuff right here. And again, not him with all the executive orders. Like you said, we want him to start destroying some of these other departments. Remove these departments that we don't need at all. And so go ahead, and I'm going to let you elaborate on that again, Gary.
Well, quite right, because some of them, most of them didn't even exist during the founding. I mean, Nixon gave us the EPA. Nixon gave us these departments. Who gave him the authority to do it? Nobody, really.
That's absolutely.
He just did it. And we must go back to the gold standard, which Nixon also took away from us.
Yes.
Because that's what makes our currency valuable. I mean, right now, see, we all have this general idea that money has value. It doesn't. No. Labor has value. Yeah. We just agree that the labor is represented by money. So the more money you print, the worth more of the value our labor is. And we need to change that to make our country strong. The government only has two jobs. One is to keep our borders secure and safe, and second is to keep the currency strong. And they have failed on both issues. And that's why I believe most of them should be in jail for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One of the things also...
Hold on just a minute. All right, Gary, hold on just a minute. Derek, if you don't mind putting Gary on hold, take down his address for me real quick, and we're gonna get that out for you, Gary. Thanks a lot, Gary.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, so here, real quick, Phil, let's go to, we have Bruce from Grosse Pointe on line 2. Good morning, Bruce. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Did you see, this is a great show, first of all, did you see the so-called comedian Stephen Colbert doing his little rant, which turned out to be like almost an hour, know, against Trump the other night? And it got me to thinking, and this is something Dennis Prager pointed out yesterday on his program. This is just shows how things have changed, late night television especially. Johnny Carson, for instance. Johnny Carson was on The Tonight Show for, at least 25 years. And never once did I hear him utter a single four-letter word, no F-bombs, no this, no that. And the bottom line is, people like that, God had class.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson, everybody on late night show at TV at that time. Even Saturday Night Live was funny. They didn't go into a lot of vulgarity and nastiness and stuff. They would skew politicians and that, but they did it in, I would say, a respectful manner. But that began changing. I'm not sure. I couldn't put a timeline on it.
Right around George Bush.
Yeah, about George Bush. Yeah. Because although Dana Carvey did was kind of funny on Senior, but this tells you a lot about our popular culture, guys. It really does, and this is one of the most disturbing things that I can think of that has taken place over the last generation or so. And I was wondering what you guys thought about that.
Well, again, this is the grinding it down. This is what liberals want. They want to grind down Christianity more and more and more. The more that they can grind it down, the more that they can get what they want. At the end of the day, they want communism. You know that. That's what they want. They want totalitarianism.
Yeah.
Here, the people out there throwing the cocktails just talking about resistance, saying that he's a fascist, they're the ones that are the fascists.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's called projection.
And so this is the kind of upside down culture that we have right now. Here, Hillary Clinton, matter of fact, Phil can tell you what she said about the hold on just a minute. Let Phil go ahead and comment on this.
Yeah,
right.
It says here that the audience encouraged Hillary if she raised actions that go against our values as Americans, insist on putting people first. This is what Hillary is saying. And then she said, persist. First of all, insist, then persist, like Senator Elizabeth Warren did when she was prevented from reading a letter written by Coretta Scott King. Yeah. Now, see, the thing is, these people are politicians, but what made the atmosphere so ugly is that actors in Hollywood use their wealth and their fame and their position of being able to articulate positions. They come in and made George Bush the town idiot.
Right.
And from that point on, the Republican Party has become the party of racists and everything else.
Yes.
And, you're right about that, Bill. Absolutely, and it speaks to the cowardice, the moral cowardice of so many of the Republican politicians, that they will not stand up and they will not tell the truth about how horribly bad the Democrat Party has been almost since its founding. I think the mafia doesn't have a thing on them.
Right. And
I mean, we're talking about the oldest and largest criminal enterprise in the entire history of this country.
Yeah. Yes.
And you look who helped found it. Aaron Burr.
Yeah.
A murderer.
Yeah.
Was it Andrew Jackson? This guy was single-handedly almost responsible for moving the Indians from their tribal homelands out east and sending them all out into reservations out in the west. This is ridiculous, and nobody says a word about it, guys.
Right. You're right about that. All right, Bruce, if you don't mind, here we're gonna have to talk to you next week.
Hey,
we got to go to a break real quick. Thank you for calling. You have a great one too, Derek. We're gonna have a break, and on the other side of the break, folks, we're gonna talk about a little bit about it was a police shooting in Chicago. The FBI found that police officers are depolicing themselves as we have this hostility become the norm, and so we got some other things we want to hit on. So, Derek, we're gonna go to a break. We'll see you in a few minutes, folks.
And now back to the Abolitionists Roundtable. Patriotic Black American conservatism, leading the charge and advancing the 4%. Back to your hosts, Del and Phil.
All right, thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. Of course, this is a talk show like no other. Again, thanks for Bruce, for Gary, and everybody else. If you'd like to join the conversation, we still have a few more minutes here. You can give us a call at 734-822-1600. Again, so my second question is, so we got another trilogy question, and then I got to get into something. Matter of fact, what Phil and I have been talking about is that we got to go back. It's so much blatant ignorance out here, folks. I'm talking about blatant ignorance. And the Democrat Party has been a hate group from the beginning, and they are also a hate group today. They are the hate group. And so we're going to really deal with them, and we're going to go back in history, and we're going to start going over the history of the Democrat Party, this hate group that's called the Democrat Party. But I want to mention something, and then I got another Civil War trilogy question, and we're going to ask. We still have a number of the Abolitionist Roundtable T-shirts, Walk for Life T-shirts that we have, and we want to go ahead and give those out. Another thing I want to mention tomorrow. This is something that Phil and I we've been sponsors of for years and years. The Walk for Israel is tomorrow, and so you can go to walkforisrael.org. I think it is walkforisrael.org. I want to support Andre and the others over there. These people have been just awesome to Phil and myself. And just this year, we didn't participate. We didn't become a sponsor again. We got so much going on, but I got to get back involved because they've been calling me, they've been sending me emails, and they want to make sure that we're involved and we're visible part of that organization, because we love Israel and we believe that Israel have the right to exist just like any other country
and prosper.
In that area.
It exists and prosper because they've shown you that they can prosper. But they can't.
Small country.
Yeah, but they can't show us that they can change the hearts of the people around them, surrounding them.
Oh Lord!
And
they surrounded by about 100 million.
Yeah.
about 100 hostile Muslims. Yeah. But here, I just want to go into some field, and then again, we're going to get off into a little bit of the policing situation, because it's some number of things that's going on with that. But Susan Rice, I want to mention, this is from CBSNews.com. Susan Rice says she won't testify before Congress on the Russian meddling in the election. Well, the reason why she won't testify, for one, is because I think it was a video. It might have been a video that she might be involved in, a video that they might have her on, or two. That's right. It was another guy that she said that made a video that caused this terrible thing that happened
in Benghazi.
Benghazi. So, of course, she won't testify because the unmasking, she can't get herself involved in this unmasking, because the unmasking was done by her, and her boss knows a lot about it, her prior boss. But one of the things that she said, former Obama administration advisor Susan Rice says she won't testify before Congress next week. Again, this is from CBSNews.com. And she said her lawyer informed the Senate subcommittee by letter on Wednesday. This is what she said. The reason why that she won't testify, and this is obtained by, the letter was obtained by CBS News, respectfully declined Senator Lindsey Graham's invitation to testify, citing the fact that she did not receive watch this right here, watch this, a bipartisan invitation from both Lindsey Graham and the subcommittee on crime and terrorism, Democrat White House. So she did not receive a invitation from the Democrat that's also in that committee, White House. And so I wonder if White House is going to send her a letter and ask her to come and testify. No, what they need to do is they need to put a warrant out.
Yeah.
And have a subpoena and force her to come and testify. Because you notice that this Susan Rice story has been, because so many other things have come up, it's been pushed under the rug.
Well, see, this is an open invitation to whoever's heading up that committee. Since she doesn't want to come in voluntarily, when she does get there, put her under oath.
That's right.
And then make her testify, and if she don't, then hold her in contempt of the committee.
And so, and I'm just surprised she's not going to do this for the cause, for the women's, for the feminists, for Hillary. Hillary is out right now on her apology tour, and so I'm surprised that Susan Rice don't want to go out there and give her a little support on her apology tour. Matter of fact, you gotta be kidding.
Wow.
Derek, what did you do to that clock? You know what, folks? I want to thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. Go to our website, artofmichigan.com. Phil and I have enjoyed the last 7 years. It's been a real pleasure. We're going to keep fighting for freedom, folks, fighting for liberty, fighting for our constitutional rights.
And we're not going to resist our constitutionally duly elected president.
See you next week.
Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.